So we'll get started by settling the body. So we keep our feet flat on the floor. We pay particular attention to our back, trying not to use too much of the backrest, and also trying to avoid being hunched over or leaning. We want to try to maintain some awareness of that aspect of the posture as we go along, and try to correct if we find ourselves starting to slouch or starting to lean. I want to try to move back into a straighter, more upright position, but just allow the body to settle into what is for you a stable, comfortable, upright position, with the hands in the lap, right over left, with the palms upturned and the thumbs gently touching or just resting on the knees. And then trying to scan briefly through the body and to see if you're holding on to tension that you can relax. We want to try to keep our mind very sharp, very alert, but our body stable but relaxed. So try to settle into what that would look like for you. And then try to feel as though you are withdrawing, pulling your attention away from the room, holding your awareness inside the body and mind. Start to just concentrate that awareness on whatever physical sensations arise with the in-breath and the out-breath. Letting go of thoughts and feelings, anything that arises in the mind that isn't that physical sensation. Just noticing that something other than that has arisen, thinking of that as a distraction, and then allowing yourself to gently lift your awareness from that distraction and gently placing it back on that physical sensation. Again and again, without judgment or frustration. Understanding that to be the vehicle by which concentration is perfected. And in your own way, establish a virtuous motivation for your time, thinking about what you're trying to accomplish and the benefits of that, and wanting to secure those benefits, not only for oneself, but also for those around you. Thinking that by increasing our familiarity with positive mental states, everyone that we meet is the beneficiary of that positive attitude, really trying to be motivated by being of benefit in that way. And then we'll meditate today on the topic of equanimity, but we will focus perhaps a little bit more on the relationship between equanimity and great compassion, great love. So perhaps a little bit different than other ways of doing it. So imagine that seated in front of you is a close friend, and then in the middle, someone that you don't know, but whose face you can imagine. And then on the right, someone that you find difficult, but not someone that you find completely intolerable, just someone that you struggle with to some degree. Take a moment to pick these three people and imagine that they're seated in front, to your left, in the middle, and to the right. And think about your dear friend. And start by thinking about when you first met them, perhaps recollecting the day before, the week before, and then the day that you met them. And then just briefly review the time that you've known them, how your thoughts and feelings change over that time. Try to pay some particular attention to how you naturally feel about this person. When you imagine their face or their voice, try to pay attention to your reaction. Is there a sense of warm heartedness, a sense of openness, perhaps a sense of vulnerability? Is there a willingness to respond to their needs? Now try to join those two investigations. Is it the case that I respond in that way, that open, warm hearted way, because over the time that I've known this person, they have more often than not said things with which I agree, acted in ways that I found useful, beneficial. Try to see if there is a relationship between your investigation of having known them and the way that you are willing and interested in relating to them. Just investigate. Then turn your attention toward the stranger and see if you can immediately notice a shift in the mind. Does the mind become more neutral, more blank in a way? Is that sense of interest, openness, warmth, are those all diminished? Try to recognize that this person could be just like that dear friend when you thought about that day before or that week before you had met them. That if things unfold in a similar way, then that sense of neutrality, less interest, that would be completely different. Try to see if that person, that stranger, needed something, how much less likely might you be to be able to provide that compared to that close friend? Try to think of all the relationships and actions that this person that you think of as a stranger has in their own day to day experience, and recognize that your label is only accounting for their interactions with only you in the entire world. Try to get a sense of how narrow, how insignificant that one particular way of thinking about that person is, and yet how strongly that colors the way in which you spontaneously relate to that person. Then turn toward that difficult person in your mind, actually shifting as if you turn your head from one person to the other. And now this person is in front of you. And pay attention to that first moment, that shift in the mind. Is there a feeling of unease, a feeling of distance, stronger than just neutrality or blankness, but a more active unease, aversion? Briefly analyze your knowing of this person and see if that unease is the result of purely actions that you felt negatively impacted just yourself, or perhaps a few people that you care about or know, or beliefs or views that with which you strongly disagree. And now try to combine all of these insights from analyzing the friend, the stranger, the difficult person, and relate them to your spiritual aspirations. Try to recognize the open, warm hearted feelings that you had in relation to the friend as being peaceful, as being contented, as being in line with what you want for yourself. And the blankness, the neutrality of the stranger, and the unease and the aversion of the difficult person as being obstacles to your own spiritual growth and development. So, using your own insight into the capriciousness and the insignificance of what gave rise to that blankness and that aversion. Try to see that all of these sentient beings are the same in wanting happiness and wanting to be free of suffering, and that when I relate to them out of an open hearted warmth, I benefit and I'm open to being of benefit. And try to rest your mind in a determination to remind yourself of those insights. And then when you're ready, we'll come back together. And then we'll dedicate. So recollect your motivation and the effort that you made to actualize your motivation. And think, may that positive energy ripen in the best way to support my own continued spiritual growth and development, so that I can work more and more effectively for the benefit of all other sentient beings without exception. May it serve as a principal cause and condition for my achieving enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And may it clear away any obstacles to the long lives of my spiritual guides, so that they can abide and guide and protect me and all sentient beings without any obstacles, limitlessly long lifetimes for the benefit of all. Thank you.